Okay, we are live officially, which is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I'm watching comments during this time. I think that that's going to be key. So just so you guys know, if you drop your comments in, I can see them. Brett, I don't know if you can see them on your end, but I'll make sure if you can't, I'll read them to you.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to try to get in there for that.
Perfect. So just to kind of recap what's going on, we are going to be talking about my compound lead strategy that I use to not just increase my SEO and search traffic to get more leads, to get on a preferred vendor list, and to really increase my knowledge of the area. So I'm never like blinking for where to go shoot because I've been to all those places. With me today is Brett. Brett is an amazing photographer, one of my favorite people to work with. And he actually kind of was with me when I was like gestating on what the basis for this this strategy would be. And then he actually went and wrote his own, I'm going to call it a mega blog post for his clients. He's already seeing some wins from it. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just give it to Brett. Brett, what's up, man?
What's going on? Roy? Hey guys, how are we doing today? Venues, venue coordinators. This is one of my all-time favorite strategies. It's a lot of work, but man, you get to know your area so well. You get to benefit so many people without really even doing anything. And you actually get to work on shooting at the venues you want to, those like little podunk banquet halls and lofts, things that we're not really fans of. Those kind of go away with this strategy. And it's just one that I'm very, very passionate about. And I'm so excited to talk more about this.
Yeah, man, it's definitely, for me, I found like, I actually have a good time doing this strategy. Like it's enjoyable because like for me, there's obviously the business benefit, but then like, being out in Florida, I'm walking around all these venues, like I'm getting exercise in while I'm doing it. And it's an enjoyable exercise. I got my headphones on, I'm taking venue pictures and stuff. It's fun. And so, I love when a strategy isn't just, oh, well, this is how you're going to make money. It's not just, oh, you're going to make money in this one very specific way. This is a strategy where like, oh, well, we can make vendor connections. We can create content for ourselves if we're short or we're new to an area. If you can get exercise out of it, you can get referrals from like everybody. It's really, really great. And then even when your couples come back and talk to you, you have photos of every venue that you've recommended, so they could totally see everything that's going on. Oh, we've already got moist comments coming in. I'm pumped. Yeah. So everyone that's kind of jumping in, we're going to get started here. If you do have a question, go ahead and feel free to drop it in the comments. I love being able to read these things through. Hopefully today goes a little smoother than the last few with audio and everything else. It sounds good to me and Brett. We kind of checked this before, so I'm pumped. While we're going through this, I'm going to be showing a document. The document is it's basically like a downloadable PDF you guys can get for completely free. And when you download it, we're actually going to set you up on an email list, not to spam you, but to tell you when the next live is and send you the PDFs automatically. So you don't have to go to link every single time. I'm dropping that in the comments right now. If you guys have any questions on that, let me know. It's no big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and start screen sharing with this awesome document that we've created. Brett, let's talk about kind of where this strategy comes from, because like I think a lot of people don't understand when you're creating a strategy for someone, like for a strategy for your business, you really need to make sure that you're actually providing like enough value to where a client really is going to get excited about it, or a vendor or whoever you're talking to. And I think with what we're doing here, like this is probably the most in-depth way that I've come across doing that. I don't know if you'd feel the same.
Oh yes, I think this takes, well, I mean, it's kind of both, where it's the most in-depth way and it takes the most amount of work, but yet the work is easy. I feel it's easy. And, for me, we're always trying to find who can we help with what we're doing. And, our brides are obviously one of the people that we want to help first. And we want to get ahead of them before they're looking for a wedding photographer. And, when you're newly engaged and you're like, all right, I'm ready to go. What's the first step? The first step is, we got to find our wedding venue. So what we're doing is we're creating a resource, or actually just a massive resource to help them find it. With where me and Joanna, where we're relocating next month is Austin, Texas. And down there, there are over 150 wedding venues just within 30 minutes of the metropolitan area. And so many brides are so just overwhelmed by how many options there are, and they don't know where to go. So what we do is we create a resource, say, hey, listen, I'm going to take that guesswork out for you. These are the best ones here. And then also here's some other ones that we recommend as well that maybe didn't make that our top, like we have 23, didn't make our top 23 lists.
Sure.
And let's just help you find that right now, so you're done being overwhelmed and you can just relax while you're looking for these wedding venues.
Yeah, what I love about that too is like, oh, well, it's not just these are the best wedding venues in the area. No, these are the best wedding venues according to you, based on the way you shoot, based on what you like to shoot, and based on what your clients typically want to get out of it. So it's like it's a direct value to that client to know that, because they probably reached out to your website because of the way that you shoot. So to get that end result, this is a key part of it. I'm going to go ahead and post this again. This is this is like the theme for the group. I've kind of put this in every single PDF that we've made so far, but just to give you guys just like a idea of where any of these strategies come from. The only way you're going to ever make money in your business is if you're providing value to that customer. That comes first. If you're not doing something of value, then you're definitely you're just wasting your time, right? They have to see the value in order to transact with you. Like you're basically needing to show them something up front in order to get them to contact you, connect with you, whatever that may be. And in this case, that value is going to be in-depth knowledge. It's going to be, hey, well, let me take this away from you. Like Brett said, we're making this easier on the client. And that's it's such an easy thing to do and overlook when we're so worried about being on like 15 other platforms, Instagram, social media, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And so the value for your clients is this. You have a unique perspective for your wedding venues. This isn't just every wedding venue in the area. This is the wedding venues that you recommend because whatever your reason might be. It's really, really, really valuable to have that for your clients. You're going to be able to show off your photography style to them. Like Brett, you've went through and you've shown how you would photograph the venue for all of those 83 venues that you went to. Now, maybe some of them you can get entirely inside of, but you at least got the outside of it so they can see what your editing style is going to look like in some respects. So you're introducing them, even if they don't have like a couple pictures in them. You're introducing them to what your shooting style is, like how their wedding's going to look. They can start like foreseeing how they're going to look at their wedding. You're kind of building that seed.
Absolutely.
What's really great too is you're going to be answering the most popular questions that people have about their venue. You're going to be giving them, okay, this is where the address is. This is how much capacity it has. So if that doesn't work for your wedding, then that venue is obviously out. This is going to tell you if they have bridal suites, like whatever those main questions are going to be. Usually one of them is cost. You're going to at least touch on that a little bit, maybe not give them a direct quote, but hey, this is what the average is per 100 guests or whatever. Clients also get to hear from someone who's not making commission on the venues. Brett, I don't think I'm not making commission on the venues. Are you making any money?
Yeah. Nope. Not a penny.
Our opinion, like based on these venues to a potential client, is already more honest, right? It's already the idea that we're not getting paid to post these venues. We're not getting paid to like support one, because we're really picking ones that we actually want to work at. Even if you have a list of 83, it's the 83 you suggested. I think you just said there's 150 or 130 within 30
There's
minutes?
over, I don't have the exact number. There's over 150 within 30 minutes of downtown Austin. You go outside an hour, which everybody still considers to be a part of their market. There's exponentially more.
Okay. So yeah, it's not like you gave all of them. You gave the ones that you actually found value in. To skip those ones that you wouldn't even tell a client to go to. That does not mean to go out and write a blog and negatively tell people things about the venues. Don't be like, hey, I would never have a wedding here, because that's just going to get you in trouble. It's going to make you look bad in the community. They now have an idea of what they need to look at when they get to each venue. They can visit and contact each venue with more information than they previously had. So this is that first set of it. We are providing all of these values to the client, but that doesn't mean the value stops there, right? You have benefits for yourself. Okay. It's compounding. It's one task that serves many purposes. You now know the venues. You probably have contacted the owner. If the owner may use your images and link back to you, that's what I ask them to do every time I send them a link of these images. Like, hey, just go ahead and use them all. They're fine for commercial purposes even. But when you post on your website, link back to me. So you're getting a local backlink from it. You're also, do you know where to shoot? Like the first question I think you have when you start as a photographer is like, where do you go? Well, you know now because you've toured them all. I mean, Brett, you didn't even live in Austin, right? Do you know
Oh
where
no,
to shoot in
still
Austin?
don't live there.
Yeah, you're not even live there yet. You know where to shoot there now?
I know almost that entire city by the back of my hand. I know where the best wedding venues are by the different spots, like the different areas in Austin. So up Marble Falls, down in San Marcos. I know where all the best spots are. I know what the topography is like. If somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, I really want to be in hill country, but I don't want to go too far out. Where's a good spot to go?" Like, I know where those spots are simply because I was going from venue to venue to venue. You get to really know your area well. You get to find really cool new spots along the way as well when you're going to these venues.
Yeah, I think it's kind of crazy because you accidentally create an expert in yourself while you're doing these.
Yeah.
Like you just start knowing things. As a matter of fact, because I'm newer to Orlando, like I just moved here a couple months ago. I now know I've looked through all the local photographers for where they would typically shoot engagement sessions, and a lot of those places I went to, I'm like, this is not like this isn't the vibe. I went to those places, I found other places, and now I have even more in-depth knowledge of the area based on what I like shooting and what I want for my couple. So again, you become an expert in your own right, right? And now the other benefit is like if you're starting to rank, let's say for your wedding venues in wherever your city is, most likely you're actually being the first step. You're now the first vendor that's being introduced to each client. Like you get to be the person. And so that actually creates a lot of trust for those clients. They're going to remember that you've solved a problem for them. You checked a box. Maybe you offered a resource or something on that page in addition to it, like maybe like a 10-step guide on how to create a venue or not to create a venue, but how to pick your venue. Depending on what you're going to do. You've also given them a few opt-in choices as you're writing this article out to go link to you and get the wedding photographer checked off their list. So you're doing a lot for them and it's doing a lot for you too. The other benefit is you're going to have a library of content that showcases the work that you do and at places you actually love working at. So when a client's like, hey, where should we do this? Whatever, you have all that stuff. You can show them already examples. You're not just making stuff up and then going on Google and trying to find where that's at. And so let's look at the benefits from a search perspective, okay? On your homepage, you're typically going to be optimizing for your location and then wedding photographer, right? So in my case, there's a search volume of about 880, okay, for Orlando specifically. Now that's not a bad number. That's great. Okay, if I get in front of those people, maybe I get 200 clicks a month from the people that see it and actually click on my link. That's great. Okay, keep in mind with SEMrush and all these other SEO things, this number is usually either very, very far under or very, very far over, depending on which platform you use. SEMrush I find typically is under a little bit. So it's a guesstimate, but it's a guesstimate based on like some decently back knowledge. So when we change this and we go, wait a second, let's not do just wedding photographer because that's not the only thing they're looking for. That's not the only question my client has. We can go into something like this, where it's wedding venues Orlando. And instead of that 880 search volume, which I still have because that's my home page, I now can also get in front of a potential 3,600 people a month. Now, if that doesn't change your perspective, there's a third level of this. The third level of this is that you can write individual blog posts after you've created your master post for each venue. And then that's going to put you ranking for those venues. Now you're going to have some venues that probably don't have any search volume. Maybe they're new. Maybe they're just not as popular. So they're not going to have a crazy amount, but that's still a number that adds to you. And then you're going to have some venues that have been around for a long time. And even if you're not on their list, right? They don't know who you are. You're still getting content for them. Now, Brett, you just shared with me a little while ago, you had a win here, right? With a local venue that is newer or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. So what happened?
So I found this venue up on a Facebook group that just said, hey, we're new, would love it if people would come out to check out our venue. And they were looking to connect with just local vendors. And I'm like, all right, I'm seeing a lot of photographers post on here, but I still want to go out because it's gorgeous. And went out to this venue. And what I found funny when I got there, they had 3 photographers that were supposed to go out there that day. I was the only one that actually went. The other 2 ghosted them. So what I did was I went out there. I didn't even pick up my camera when I got there. I just got to know the venue owner. I got to know her partner. And I didn't talk very much at all. I didn't talk about myself unless they asked. I just wanted to know more about them. Got to know them, took some great pictures. And one of the things that they told me about when I was talking to them is how nobody could find them online.
Yep.
at all. And like there was a venue down the road for them that's like, hey, we've been wanting to send you leads, but we have no idea where to send them to, because when we when we bring up your name, we can't find you guys. And they said, yeah, we're just not really good with Google. And I heard that, and what I did was I created an individual venue page that just highlights everything that they want a couple to know about. And I optimized it for their name and sent it out there. And that's only been a few weeks. It's already gained a lot of traction, already getting clicks. And the venue they didn't message me. They put up a post in every group in Austin for weddings, just telling them how amazing we are and how blessed they are that we created a resource without asking for anything. They said we were an absolute gift to them. And for me, that's not just being put on a preferred vendor list, and not just me referring out a venue, but that's a real relationship starting there.
For sure.
And that's it goes from just saying, hey, I want to be on your venue list, to, hey, I want to really just help you build your business without expecting anything in return, knowing that it'll come, but not caring about that, saying, you know what, I just want you to have couples getting to you.
Yeah, it's a servant mindset. And then the wonderful thing is too, is like when they're telling other people that you're great, you no longer have to sell yourself to those people. You just have to make sure you're not proving them wrong.
Absolutely.
There's an idea with the circle of trust where if if Brett tells you that I'm a great photographer, then I am pretty much a great photographer in your mind, right? I just have to make sure that I'm keeping that trust. But when I come in and I tell you I'm a great photographer, I actually look a lot worse, and you're way less likely to trust me from that, right? You're way less likely to put any stock in what I just said, because now I have to prove what I said to myself. Now, the benefit here is that not only is he gaining trust with this vendor, but this vendor is now telling everyone else that he's great. So he doesn't even have to make those relationships. Those relationships come because he put in the work first. This is a very front end heavy strategy. So you're going to be working a lot in the front end, but then in the back end, just benefits start coming in consistently. And so let's get into what this strategy actually looks like. So first, there's research. Yeah, sorry. You have to research. One way to figure out like where your venues are going to be at is if you see any local photographers that have written a best wedding venues in your city blog, and see how they have done. That's not going to help you at all, Tyler. Sorry, trying to mess with my microphone. Get out. See if any local photographers have written a best venues blog in your city, and see how thoroughly they answer questions, see which venues they've recommended, because maybe you're new to the city, and then see if a venue is repeated on multiple blogs, because you may want to include it on yours. So you're still building your own list. You're going to check and see what everyone else is doing, and then go check out those venues. If you're brand new, you're going to decide which ones you actually prefer to work at, and then do your own keyword research. Use a tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs or Ubersuggest. Although Ubersuggest is my least favorite of the three, it is the cheapest and most affordable. And if your own city, like let's say you're based in a tiny town, like I used to live in Valparaiso, Indiana. Nobody's really searching for Valparaiso, Indiana for wedding venues. You might want to look at nearby cities that are bigger as hubs to create your venue based off that. So for example, let's say in Brett's case, Austin's tiny. It's not, but let's say it is. Maybe he goes on SEMrush and starts looking up Houston and Dallas and whatever's close around that area, and finds another city that actually does have enough search volume to generate search traffic for him to write this article. Because if you're writing something that doesn't have any search volume for, you're just kind of spinning your wheels. Brett, what did you use when you were kind of going through, like, what was your strategy for picking your venues?
So first, I just want to see what market was, high as far as search volume. And, I actually was comparing to the numbers that, Ben Hartley showed, because that's when I started doing this. I'm like, how many should I be looking for?
Sure.
And I looked at Austin, I looked at Houston, I looked at San Antonio, and they all actually had crazy search volume. So I'm like, all right, I like the Austin area a lot. And I looked at what venue or what keywords had the least amount of competition. And I really wanted to figure out where's the competition looking and where they're not. So for Austin, a lot of photographers and anybody writing blogs, they focus on what the actual city is that most of these venues are in, which is Dripping Springs. That's known as the wedding capital of the South. And brides don't know that. They don't know this city. So what they do is they go more general and they go Austin. And my competition's not looking at Austin. They're focused too much on the city of Dripping Springs. So Austin wedding venues, when I typed that in, it had a much lower competitive rate compared to Dripping Springs or Central Texas or any of those, and still had a very, very high. It had the highest search volume. When I looked, it had 4,400 searches a month. It's up to 5,600. Also with wedding venues in Austin. And I also looked at just the different variations. Which one would be the easiest not only to rank for, but what would be the easiest for me to write when I'm putting that into a blog post? What can I use the most fluidly?
Yeah, that makes sense. So, where we go? We just skipped the whole thing. All right. Roughly, that's actually the same strategy that I used. I think you and I really kind of worked together on this Austin thing.
Yeah, we did.
We were pretty much neck and neck. We were doing it because we were moving at the same time. And I'm like, listen, I got an idea on how to take this venue strategy a lot farther. Here's what I'm doing, and then you kind of did the same thing, and then I modified it, then you modified it, and we kind of partnered up together on it. And so when you're going through that research, your job is you're going to define those venues that you want to work with. Only select the ones you want to work with. Don't show every single venue that's in the area, because if you show one that you hate, you're going to work at that one the most. If you write a full piece of content for that client that genuinely isn't going to that genuinely has this like recommendation essentially from you, whether you're writing about it with the recommendation or writing about it with just facts on it, you're coming across as you're recommending it. So be very, very careful with that. Make sure you're only going to decide on the ones you want to work with, and then your clients will decide which one of those they want to work with. The next step for this is just touring each venue. So here's the deal. You're going to ask for tours. You're going to get told no sometimes. You're going to get no answers sometimes. You're going to have to sneak to these venues and just walk in with a camera. Now, I recommend grabbing like a 20 millimeter, walking around and taking photos. If you work at a hotel, this is a lot easier for you to do. Essentially, like there is no easier method than to walk in with like a 20 millimeter, walk around in regular clothing. Don't dress like a professional photographer when you do these things, because the first time you dress like a professional photographer or have your logo somewhere or use a flash, that's when you're going to start getting asked questions, and you may get kicked out before you actually finish the venue if you don't have permission. However, if you're doing a tour, that's a whole different like ball game. If you can't get on site, let's say, Brett, I think I remember the problem for you was that there's these giant gates.
Yeah. So in Texas, like we're in Illinois currently, relocating first in a few weeks. In Illinois, you can easily just drive up to every venue here, take a picture, walk around even a little bit and leave. Where in Texas, everybody is so, protective of their property. Everybody's got fences. Everybody has gates. And if that venue is not open for like a wedding or an event, you can pretty much assume that there's going to be a gate up. So it becomes a lot more interesting on how you get around those problems, in addition to not even having, access to the venues. Because I got ghosted by a bunch. I mean, I got it. I would probably say on my top 23, the vast majority I was allowed to go and tour, which is kind of why they're up there. Sure. But for the most part, a lot of them either didn't give me permission, or there's a lot of them where I didn't even ask permission, where I was, just researching. Oh, I like that. I'm close to it. I'm going to go and check it out. Exactly.
Yeah. And so I somehow have lost my screen trying to fix the audio for you guys in the comments. The next step for this, right? We're going to take all these images. What are we going to do with them? Well, first, you're going to create a gallery. Okay. You're not going to write the article right away. I would recommend creating a gallery as a value to not just you. So it's easier to download things at web size, but a gallery so that you can show all of your clients where these images are. You can show them to your clients. You can also show them to the vendors. You can tell them to download them. And the easiest way to do that is to create a massive article like this. Now, I would in the future split this out via city. I have gotten that feedback before, but this is essentially every wedding venue that I've toured since moving to Florida, and I have this available for them to download at full res, with the agreement that they're going to send me a link back. And I've gotten link backs on Instagram. I've gotten link backs from different venues. Actually, with this one specifically, the JW Marriott in Tampa, which was new at the time, I got a direct message from Marriott itself asking to be not just a preferred vendor, but to come and take a few photos of their other hotels, specifically the one that they had launched pretty close to this in Orlando afterwards, which is another JW. It's a brand new one. And I went and did the exact same thing and sent them different articles or different photos for this one as well. So I can be on a preferred vendor list again. Now keep in mind, I didn't have to go shoot a wedding at this place. I didn't have to do anything other than just to tour it and give them some resources and to show that I really do enjoy their venues. Right now, my Orlando blog's not even live yet. But they're already asking, hey, would you mind writing another article like you did for the JW in Tampa? Can we have that? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. It's not a big deal. I'm going to go ahead and send that so that they send me leads so that we're like working together as a team. I'm building them. They're building me. That's the wonderful benefit of doing a compound strategy.
Yep.
And so create that gallery. If they choose to mark with them, just ask for a link back. Okay. Just make sure you get a link back. You can use this for your clients to show them all your locations. Like when a client says, hey, Roy, where should we go photograph? I'm like, oh, here's all the photos of places I have photographed. If any stand out to you, this is great. I'll ask them questions about, what your preferred style is. Are you going for something urban? Are you going for something that's a little more nature specific or whatever. And they'll give me that feedback and I'll recommend venues based on that, or I'll recommend a hybrid like this Nona, this brand new hotel, the Nona Wave or Lake Nona Wave Hotel in Lake Nona that has this awesome, I don't even know what to call this. It's like a palm forest or something like that. And then they can go inside and get really, really trendy photos as well. So I have this resource for clients, for vendors, for me. This is an easy way for me to show off really anything I want. And also I can download this and pump it into Instagram if that's what I choose to do. So going from there, you're going to write a catch-all blog, okay? You're going to write a catch-all blog that shows the best of for each venue category. You're going to then put at least a paragraph, sometimes two, explaining what the benefits of that venue are, like what you liked about it, why it would work best for a wedding, what kind of client it's for, any amenities that they might have. It's going to also have like their basic contact information, capacity, what else is in there? Capacity, phone numbers, all that stuff. Brett actually has already created a huge catch-all blog. Like I said, he has 83 wedding venues that he's created. It's got a table of content. You can kind of see how intense this can get. He's got like a little header paragraph that kind of explains, hey, this is what's going on in Austin. These are the wedding venues that I recommend based on my style. And then he individually wrote a paragraph for each one with the address, investment, capacity, phone number, and key amenities that are included in each venue. And from what I understand, we've already got some wins from this.
Oh, yes. That's actually, I get more traffic from this page than any other page on the entire website.
Yeah, and that's pretty standard with this strategy. Again, if we're looking back at what the search volume is, and like the city and name search volume is typically like 880. It's not super high, or in my case, it's 880. It's not crazy high, especially if you're going to compare it to the wedding venues search title, which is at 3,400. So if you rank for either one of those, obviously when you rank the venue one, you're going to get 5-10 times the traffic from it. And that's the case for you, I'm imagining, Brett.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And keep in mind, you only have your main 23 places that you actually recommend, like as far as in-depth recommendations. And then if I remember right, at the bottom of this, you don't even write about the article about the venue itself. You just link back out to like the venue, right? If I click on this, is going to go to, I'm assuming, let's see what happens.
Every single one is going to go right to their website.
Goes right to their website. And Google, by the way, when you do that, it considers it as a, it's called a reference link. And so it's like, this is where I got the information from. I'm linking back out. This is actually a really, really good sign to Google that you've done your home research. And keep in mind, every single one of these titles are also terms that Google's looking for when it's relating to wedding venues in Austin. And I would say, like, prior to getting this started, did you have any backlinks for Austin specifically? Any sort of published things?
No, this is the very first thing I did. So when I would go and look, what am I ranking for? There was nothing there. Now, what's crazy is not only am I ranking for, certain venues that are on my top 23, but a lot of the keywords are coming from this list of just the names of the hotels and the links back. There's a lot of them where I'm starting to get impressions just from there. And another thing that I absolutely love about creating a mega page like this is it almost acts like a guide on where should you go next with your content. So for me, it started telling me these are the venues where people want to know more information. You're starting to get a lot more impressions, starting to get a lot more clicks for these venues. These are the ones where you want to start creating a blog post or a page that highlights that venue, which I know we're going to be talking about in just a minute.
Yeah, and actually, we had one comment that came in from Thaddeus, who we've already written blog content for. But he said, Brett Moyes, how much to write one for me? That is something that
I don't know if I could do that again.
I'll be honest, most photographers don't want to do for themselves. Like we found that to be the case for a lot of the people I'm coaching. You know, we have these blog write-ups, and then in some cases, it actually makes sense to do a massive article like this. Like for me, when I did Tampa, I only needed to do my top 20. We found that in Orlando, the search volume is significantly higher, but the difficulty is also higher. So then you have to do like a massive 30 plus venue page, and asking another photographer to do that, like, it's a lot of work. The research,
so much work.
Like the research and all this together, like that's a lot of writing. It's a lot of playing. It's a lot of like prepping, and then you got to go take the photos, and then you got to meet the people. So sometimes it is best to offshoot that, but I don't think that's something Brett wants to do, right?
Nope. Down the road, but not right now.
Yeah. So in the meantime, you can actually reach out to me or Tyler, and I'll have Tyler post a link to contact us through here. But we actually write these for photographers already because I have all the knowledge, and I've got a writing staff, and it's not just me, right, going through all your venues. So if that's something you would like to get taken off of your hands, you can always have us do it. That said, the second step is going to be writing a separate blog for your favorite venues. So when you do like a top X amount of venues, then you're going to pick like 9 or 10 of them, and you're going to try and write for those venues that you really do want to get into, because again, you're going to start ranking for that term as well. Okay. So you're going to be ranking for your main key term, your city wedding photographer term. Then you're going to be ranking for the term that is for your city wedding venues. And if you break this down to maybe, I have barn style wedding venues, I have hotel style wedding venues. When someone searches for that, you can rank for those as well from that article. And then you have the individual venue names that you'll be ranking for there. So you're getting in front of traffic, like in this early stage, really, really quick, really quick. In their process. I mean, again, typically in a like a bride groom or groom whatever scenario when they're picking their wedding, it goes wedding venue, then photographer. They have to have the date first, so they have to have the wedding venue first. But now you're getting in front of them beforehand, so you can recommend the venue, and you can be the photographer. You can even offer like a consultation or something to clients who are looking for their wedding venue. Maybe they're stuck and they want someone else to help them make the decision. And the article is great, has a lot of information, but they don't want to make that decision. Perfect. You can be the person that offers that information to them. You're then going to take the published blogs. Okay. Every blog that you've published, send it to every included venue owner. You're going to send it to local planners. You're going to share it on social media. If you have some sort of resource locally, like a local newspaper or something, try and send it to them. Just let them know, hey, I would be totally happy to send you this article to publish on your own site as something that's canonical, which means it recognizes that it's not the main source of that. That's something like medium.com does. And it won't affect your rankings. You can send it to them as well and try and get those local backlinks for like a local newspaper or whatever's going on there. I also like to send my photos, just this link specifically, to local news sources in case something happens locally where they would want to have a photo of it, of that article or that venue for that news article, right? So like, let's say they're having a huge, I don't know, get together for like the mayor or whatever, and they're having it at the Lake Nona Wave Hotel. Now I have a full newspaper that has all the assets required to post that article without even having to go photograph that announcement of the event. So they can use that image. I'll get a backlink from that news company, which is a very, very high value backlink, and get my work out there to even more people. So again, why it's a compound strategy. So here's some optional power-ups. Now, not all of these have to be done. I haven't even done a few of these because it takes a lot of time, but you can power these up. So let's go ahead and take a look here. You can record a video of you talking about each venue. All right. So here's the deal. Most people don't realize YouTube is actually the second most popular search engine. It is not a social media site. It is, it does have some social media aspects to it, but it's actually a search engine. And so in most cases, like 90% of the time, no one's done any videos for your venue in your city. So if you just take the article you've already written, read about it to them, and have maybe a talking head video like we're doing right now and show pictures of the venue that you've taken while you explain the benefits of each venue, there's a good chance you'll rank on Google for that specific term, and then show up in the video section, which is above the paid ads on a Google search listing, which is a great place to be. Okay. You'll be able to see that in a lot of cases, even if you do find some sort of video that's been about it, like in my case, Orlando, you think, oh, this is, a fairly popular area. They probably did do some sort of video on it. The last video that was made even relating to it was 3 years ago, which means there's an opportunity for me to jump ahead when I have time to actually record those videos on top of it. And so, even if that main key term you have is competitive, let's say that you have something that's like, again, Orlando competitive for the blog, it's probably not going to be competitive on YouTube. Like there's probably going to be an open door for you to kind of come in and just create the content. All you're going to need to do is record yourself talking and kind of give them a gist of what the article says. The other benefit is you could take that video and drop it into the blog itself and use it for like people who don't want to actually read all the way through it. If they don't want to read it, they can just play it on YouTube, and then they can listen to it via their headphones, walk around, clean the house while they're doing it, and not have to think through anything. People love to not think. So then you can record audio of you talking about each venue and include it on the blogs. You could take the audio from the video you made in the first place, upload it into a podcasting software, put that podcasting software out into the ether. There's a company called Anchor.fm, which will put it out to Amazon, Spotify, all those places, and you keyword the title out and keyword the name of the podcast out. So in this case, you'd want to be like, I don't know, Orlando wedding photographer. That's maybe the name of or wedding photography. That's maybe the name of your podcast. And then you talk about your venues inside of that podcast. You then take that audio, put it on that blog, and that gives them another way for them not to have to listen to it. It also gives you backlinks to Spotify, Amazon, Apple, all those places where that podcast would technically be live. And again, if you're just like, I don't want to be on camera, this is a great way to get away from having to do the YouTube thing. And then the last step is going to be submit to local publishers, newspapers, and et cetera, just in case you can get more backlinks and get introduced to more audiences. Brett, anything to add there?
No, I love that. I know one thing that we haven't actually put it up on social media yet that you can do just to take it a little bit farther to kind of celebrate different vendors is just take out your phone while you're there. For me, I'll go to a venue and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do 2 laps around this venue. And one lap is going to be just taking pictures. The other one, I'm going to take my phone out and I'm going to do just videos to highlight the space. I'll throw in a couple of funny ones of me. Either I'm talking, holding it up in selfie mode, just talking, or like if I see like a big full-length mirror that needs to be highlighted, I'll walk by it and wave or do something stupid in front of it just to make people laugh. And, you create a reel with that. You put that on TikTok, you put that on Instagram, you put that up on Pinterest, and the vendor sees that and you spotlight that for them. And not only that, you use these pictures as like vendor spotlight posts up online. There's just so many different ways to add value with this one thing. And you really only have to go and visit a venue once to have all this content to be used in all these different ways. And, for me, when I go to a venue and I'm on a tour and I'm creating this content, it probably takes me, if I'm taking my time, an hour. Yep. Not even that, doesn't have to take that long. Hours, because I'm talking to them and I'm getting to know them too. And I'm like, I'm not even going to take my camera out right now. I just wanted you to tell me about your space and tell me about you. But that's all you really need is an hour per venue.
Yeah. And you couldn't get that tour. Like if you can't get that tour the first time you ask, when you come back with photos that you've already taken of the venue and say, hey, you can use these for marketing purposes, I'm going to bet you get that tour a lot easier. I just, as a general practice, I found that to be a lot easier when I say, hey, listen, here's all the photos I've taken of your venue. I'd like to take some more of the specific spaces I couldn't get into. If that's fine with you, I'd love to do a tour. And they see these and they go, oh my God, I would love to have you come back. I don't know why we didn't have you come back in the first place. And so it does help to have this resource, even if you've already toured the venue. The reason you'd go back to the venue is to connect with the actual venue owners and make sure that article goes out, and make sure that their content that they're looking to have published and talked about is actually published and talked about. It's always good to always check if you can get the tour first, because sometimes venues do close. And if you're going to take all your information from local research, sometimes people suck at updating that the venue's closed.
Yeah, that happened to me. That has happened to me on 3 venues where I've gone to them. I've driven far, and I was told after taking pictures that, oh yeah, you really didn't need to go out there because we're not in business anymore, or we closed up. And that's a lot of wasted time, and especially with gas prices right now, you don't want to waste resources like that.
Yeah. And it's awkward to take that to like post it and then update the article later on. Be like, all right, sorry guys, this place is no longer in existence, which is what happened to me with the Dali Museum in Tampa. Went there, it's like an amazing place to take photos of. Got the photos up, I was super excited about them. Sent them to the museum, and they said, oh, we're actually going to stop offering weddings. You're like, oh, that would have been awesome to know before I spent all the time at your place. Okay, cool. Well, you can have these photos for other reasons. It's not like you have to like completely toss the strategy, but you will have to update your article to be accurate. You don't want to be sending clients to something that's closed. It pisses them off.
One thing I wanted to talk about, as far as if you reach out to a venue and you get ghosted, is all right, what do I do to get pictures? Because I want this on my venue, or on my page. And, with having gates, it becomes a problem, because obviously I can't get in the gate. I'd say I'm not going to trespass. I have. I'd recommend not doing that unless you like just to live life on the edge. And I'm like, no, I'm getting that venue. But one thing that I would recommend is have a 70 to 200 on you, or if you're special and you want to have a 300 or higher, have that on you, and then just shoot it from the road. And, for me in Texas, they're sometimes really far off the road, and you'll have trees and stuff in front of it. Find a way to frame it to where it looks really, really nice.
Yeah.
Then take the picture. Then get a photo of the sign. Always get a photo of the sign. That's like photo number 2. And then even maybe just a detail of like something around it. That way you have a few pictures, because when you're making like an individual venue page, you don't need a ton of photographs to go.
Like 5 or 6, really.
5 or 6, not even that. You could, if you are struggling, get it down to that. I would always recommend more than that.
Yeah.
But if you can't get in there and you are hell bent to have it on there, just have a long glass, shoot from far away, and just make sure you can frame it well enough to where it looks decent. That's all you really need.
Yeah. It's not a problem to have an article that just has one image. It's not necessarily what I'd recommend in most cases, but if you genuinely don't have the content, it's not a big issue. I've actually found that sometimes I've just taken a picture of the gate itself, like the name of the place, and then just that's the photo I have of it. Now, if I'm writing this in like the catch-all blog, if I have some content that's maybe similar, so maybe I've shot at an industrial wedding venue before, and this venue I'm working on is like an industrial wedding venue. As long as the photo genuinely doesn't have any like distinguishing like backgrounds or anything like that, maybe it's just a brick wall and the brick wall looks similar to the brick wall at the venue, I'll use that photo if I have to. So even if you can't go get content right away, you can still introduce photos of your work before you actually get to go in there. Now, I will say, if you have shot at venues before, let's say you've done weddings before, you're in a city that you've been established in for a long time, it is more beneficial for you to write this content and use photos of actual weddings from those venues, because then you're directly showing your work. If people love your work, which hopefully they do, then they're going to reach out to you because of that post, much more likely. That makes sense?
Absolutely. One thing I wanted to say too, as far as making your individual venue pages, if you haven't photographed a wedding there, you can find a workaround where you can showcase wedding images that weren't there but look like that. This is kind of where those like really tight shots that you take up against like white walls, or just anywhere to where you can't tell where you are, can come into play. So one of them I made was for a white barn venue, and they have big, beautiful white walls, but they're not even open yet. Their first wedding is in September. so I don't have any work. And what I did was I used, just a few wet images of couples up against white walls or with a white background to where it looks like it could have been taken there. So that's where like you can just utilize a lot of those photographs you take in there are clips or even at styled sessions where it looks like the venue. That's where you could still get that authority. Oh, hey, he's shot there without actually photographed there.
Exactly. We did have one question where they were talking about the catch-all blog. Is it one photo per venue? It depends on how you set this up, but typically like that's my go-to. I do a nice exterior shot or a shot that I'm really, really excited about, throw that in the article for that particular blog post. And then when they go to the individual venue, that's where they typically have a lot more photos to look through and digest. Here's some tips for asking for a tour. Okay. I've done phone calls. Phone calls are typically the way I like to ask for these. I don't love emailing them right off the bat, but I will email them in addition to doing phone call, just in case the phone call doesn't go that well, or they don't answer or whatever. Thirdly, if I'm going to Instagram DM them, I do it via video. I post it. I have it up and like I hold the video so it's facing me, and then I just like send them a quick little message. It's usually, hey, I'm a local photographer. I'd like to take a tour of your venue so I can better answer why people would book there. Like I want to recommend your venue. You're giving them, hey, this is what I'm doing it. This is what I need to do, and this is what I'm doing it for. Usually, if you can like provide that benefit for them, they're not gonna like say no. Like if someone came up and said, hey, I'd like to come talk to you for 5 minutes so that I can tell people to book you. Are you going to say no? No, you're going to say, oh, yeah, 5 minutes is worth it for me. The other thing you can do is, hi, I'm a local wedding photographer. I'd like to take a tour of your venue. I'd like to take a few photos of the unique things available here. If you'd like, I can take photos of anything marketing needs while I'm here and provide access to all the images as long as you link back to me when you use them. Now that's a little more wordy, but it also gives them a lot more benefit. Hey, if there's something new that you've done to your venue, let me come take photos of it so that you don't have to look for content when you're trying to tell people, hey, this is an awesome thing we just recently added. No, you've got the photo there. I'm cool with it. I've had some venues ask me for sunset and sunrise photos. It's fine. I mean, it's a little annoying, but I'll come do it. It's fine. If that's what they want, then I almost guarantee they're going to use it. The last thing you do is literally, you don't have to tell them anything. You could just say, hey, I'd like to schedule a tour. See what happens. It's typically more of a surprise if you're a wedding vendor. And I would say as soon as you get there, make sure they know you are a wedding vendor and this is not a booking for an actual wedding, but you can just be a little more vague in it if you really feel like they're not going to answer you otherwise. Anything you want to add to that, Brett? I know you got a lot of, you've had a lot. Reach out.
Well, I know that before I did this, I'm like, okay, what do they really need photos of? Like they got photos of all their rooms. They're not going to want anything from me.
Sure.
And then when I started doing it, it's like, it's crazy the amount of needs that they have. Like I have one in Bastrop. It's called Shiraz Gardens. It's one of my favorites. And the venue coordinator literally wants photos every single month to show brides, this is what the venue looks like at this time of the year. And for me, normally that's a pain in the butt, but they're right down the road from where I'm living. So that's no problem for me to come out and then just keep connecting with the venue coordinator. But every single month, she wants to be able to show them what their venue looks like. That way the bride's like, well, what do your trees look like in February? She has a whole gallery to show them. Or another one, they just built these brand new cottages for all their guests to stay in. And I happened to just show up right when they, finished building them. And the second they got those photos, they instantly put them on their homepage. They instantly put up a post saying, hey, check out our new cottages. Thank you, Joanna and Brett, for everything you did with these photos. We love you guys. Yeah. So there's so many different needs that you don't even realize that they may need.
Exactly. And the benefit is too, is like sometimes you get asked to come back and be their just event photographer for their general stuff, which means bonus money. Bonus money is always good. Mm-hmm. This is money where you're coming in, you're taking headshots of them. Maybe they have like some sort of celebration. You're the photographer they think of, you're first of mind, which means you're probably getting all the recommendations and you get to create more content while you're there. So even if you don't have a wedding there for 2 years, you're still creating some sort of content for that place. And so let's talk about this because you're going to get ghosted. Just realistically, you're going to get ghosted. I know we all hate it as photographers, but you're definitely going to get ghosted when you go through this. Okay. So here's the deal. If it's a relatively public place, go walk around and take photos. I do this for hotels all the time. I typically will do that before I even do the tour. In most cases, because I know they're doing weddings. There's no way they're going to not do weddings at those places because they're very public. Like obviously they're still like advertising for them. If it's private, but you can't get a picture of it, go take a picture of it from the road. Like do what Brett does, grab the long lens. If it's private and you can't see it from the road, I would use a placeholder image from a similar looking location, like we talked before. If it's private, they said no, and told you they have a list you could pay to be on. Don't photograph there. Don't recommend it. Don't talk to those vendors anymore. They are assholes. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. If you have a paid list, that means your opinion means nothing. Okay. When you give your opinion for money, essentially, your opinion does not mean anything because you've been bribed to talk about it. That's why I don't do paid listings for venues, or when a venue does ask to be on there, unless I really love the venue that's asking to be on this blog post. I'm not going to do it. Okay. It's not something that I cannot be bought, and I don't want to work with people who can. If they said no, then they ask you to use an image you took anyway after you write the blog. Conditionally, just say yes, and if you can be added to the vendor list, or if they'll at least link from you from their site when it's used. If they say they're not interested in linking for it, then you can offer them to pay for it. And if they don't want to pay for it, then you can tell them they can't use the image. It's very, very simple. You don't have to like create these extra steps for these things. Just, hey, this is an exchange. I'm doing something for you. At the very least, you can link back to me. It doesn't cost them a thing, and it does benefit you substantially. Continuing on, let's talk about the photographs. Okay. You don't need more than one lens, but a wide and a tight can be good for hiding people just in case it is a packed place. So Brett said, grab a long lens if you can't get to the venue. That's a great reason to have a tight lens. I genuinely carry my 20 millimeter 1.8 most of the time. Okay. I'm walking in, I know how to frame people out of things if I need to. If you're not really like good with like a wide lens, this may be a reason to grab something that's a little easier to go around with, like a 35, and then maybe have your 85 there. Whatever you want to use. I will say, you wouldn't be wrong in assuming that a 24-70 or something like that would be more beneficial for you when you're going through it. The main blog, the catch-all blog, really only needs one exterior shot. It doesn't need too much else. You can put interior shots here. That's totally fine. Just the best photo of the image, drop it in that article. You really only need it. If you can repurpose content from actual weddings you've shot at that venue. That is always better. That's going to show you exactly what a wedding would look like. It gets into your client's mind. Then they're able to like picture themselves working there. So if you're doing a styled shoot, if you're doing an actual wedding, any of those are going to be better options if you have the time to do that or have shot it before. You need to try and shoot the exterior, the ceremonial locations, bars, a bridal suite if they have one, and any unique location that stands out to you if you're going to recommend that venue. So like if it has a really cool water feature or there's a great place for portraits, go take a quick photo of it. This is going to give you some options to explain to your clients like, hey, this is my favorite spot in this location. This is a really great feature. Whatever it is, it's going to help you sell it better. And it's also going to help sell you better because now you're knowledgeable about the location. I like to try and take pictures of places inside the buildings where I would take them if it rained. Okay, Florida, it rains every day for no reason at all. We have crazy lightning storms every day at about 6 p.m. During the season. So rain is just a fact of life. I want to make sure that they know, hey, I know what I'm doing and I can fix this problem for you should it come up. A location that can double for engagement photos will help you write additional content to get in front of couples at different stages of planning. So a catch-all blog for your wedding venues, a catch-all blog for engagement locations. Maybe you want to even do one for proposal sites. Like, hey, I would propose here because XYZ. Those are also great articles that can get you in front of even more search traffic that eventually leads to referrals. I will say in Chicago, when I used to work in that area, my number one performing article was actually just an article about proposal locations, like where to go take your proposal. I would get, I want to say between 6 and 10 leads a month from people who are mostly from guys, if I'm being honest, that were just not sure how to accomplish the proposal, which means I got to take the first set of pictures for the wedding. And usually I made those people happy. In most cases, sometimes the guy didn't know that like the bride or whatever was more into light and airy, and he liked the moody, contrasty style that I have. That may not run into a problem for you, but most of the time I ended up getting to book their weddings, do an engagement session after that, then do the full wedding. And then when I designed their album, I actually got to include those 3 separate events to get a bigger album sale at the end of it, and also tell more of their story. So it's like, it's genuinely like one of those strategies you can use on multiple different things. Brett, you got anything to add for that?
No, you did good with that one, man. That's
Sweet.
pretty much what I'd say.
I know what I'm talking about. Look at that. All right. So here's the deal. This is going to be a guesstimate. All right. This is not brass facts, but just to give you an idea, these articles for the catch-all, they're typically fairly long articles. You're writing a paragraph for each venue. You're doing between 9 and maybe 30 venues, or you're writing a massive blog, which has like 60 in them if you want. It just depends on where it's going to be. So a well-written venue blog is at least 1,500 words. That's like a good place to start. Most of the time they end up being between 2,000 or 3,000 words, or more in some cases. A single venue blog should be similarly long, so it should be about 1,500 words, but more thoroughly answering questions like what makes the venue stand out, what amenities are there, when's the best time of the year to have their photographs taken there, how much it costs to have a wedding there. That's a really big one. And answering those questions are good indicators to Google that you're talking about that subject. And so it's more likely to get picked up the more relevant it is and the more thorough you are with your questions. If you're answering in bullet points, you're going to have a problem ranking because there's not enough copy to go for it. And if anyone writes anything that's even slightly more in depth than what you have, then you're going to get outranked in most cases, unless they have like no backlinks and you have the best backlinks of all time, which in most cases is not the case. Readability does matter. So you got to make it interesting. You need to make sure that it's very readable. It's pleasantly readable. Your sentences aren't too long. There aren't a bunch of run-on sentences. There aren't words that don't make any sense. You're not talking like salesy. You just got to make sure that it's informative, but kind of like an easy read. Okay. Outside of that, here's some questions you can answer. Why do you recommend this venue? Specifically you, what is it about this venue that you specifically enjoy, and why would you recommend it to your clients? You are the expert here. That needs to be very, very clear. That's like the number one thing. Okay. Then you should answer, you need to be answered like, where is the venue? What's the capacity? What kind of weddings are best at this venue? What time of year is it best to get married at this venue? What makes this venue unique? What amenities does this venue offer? What's the average cost at this wedding venue per 100 people? You can find most of those answers on Wedding Wire, The Knot, or here comes the dress, or some, I can't remember exactly what that site is, but any of those sites you can find online. You can find that information. You don't even have to know the coordinator if they won't answer you. Again, the more beneficial you reach out to those, like the more benefits you explain to the coordinators that you're reaching out to, the more likely they are going to answer your questions, especially if they're a new venue. They're going to be very excited about that. And again, just going to throw this in here. If you guys don't want to do all this work, you don't want to write all this stuff down. You do want to find which venues you want to use, but you don't want to write about them. You can hire my team to go and write these blogs for you, so you can get in front of these clients without having to do like a crazy amount of writing. If that's the one thing that really stops you, you can go take the photos while we write the blog content and get that stuff published and ready to go. Also, well, for you guys reading along, if you just dropped in, there is a link that I'm going to drop into the comments. What's going to happen here is if you go ahead and click on this link, you can download the PDF that we're going through here, so you don't have to remember this all by heart. Okay, very important. Let's go ahead and
let me say one thing.
Yeah, hit me.
One thing really quick. It all depends on the market you're into. Where there's a lot of markets, if you go to their website, you're not going to find much information. But I'll speak to you, Carmen, on this because we're in the same market. There's so many venues in our market, Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, where they have to kind of compete a little bit. And the way they do compete is with transparency on their websites, where all this information that's laid out is literally on there. So for me, all I have to do, and not every single one, but for most of them, all I have to do is go on the website and then read what are the amenities, all listed out. What are your prices, all listed out. What makes you guys unique? Everything's listed out to where I don't have to contact anybody. All that information is sitting right there. All I have to do is rewrite it with my own words and work is done. And, when you're making these individual pages, you'll easily come up with your own formula of how you want to do things. And then all you're doing is getting the information and plugging it into the formula.
Yep. Once you do one or two of these, you can kind of figure out what to do from those. And even if you want to expand on those, and like maybe you did a smaller article and you want to jump up to a bigger one, you really kind of know how to do it. It's just you're going to do more of it, or be more thorough, or something along those lines. And then I got an interesting question from Zach Bradley. It says, "What about implementing this strategy for a place that already has a massive presence and marketing team like Biltmore Estate? My goal is to book a wedding there next year." You can do stuff to make this happen. First of all, you can do engagement sessions there. You can write about those. Like you can get photos of actual couples that'll help you stand out a little bit more. You can still write this kind of content for them. You can start trying to rank for whatever it is that they have going on there. Like there's a lot of different methods you can apply to this strategy. I would say that still using this exact strategy for them would still work. Just because they have a massive marketing team doesn't mean they have a massively effective marketing team. And even if they don't have a massively effective, even if they do have a massively effective marketing team, there's probably still some sort of hole there you could fill. Now, it doesn't mean that they're going to be like really excited to talk to you necessarily if they have all the photos they need. But I found that even in places like, for example, the Swan and Dolphin Resort, which is a Disney property out here, genuinely did not have a lot of photos of their venue, which was incredibly surprising to me because it's been there since like the I think like 89 or something like that, somewhere around that time. And they didn't have a ton of photos that they were really, really excited about. So I just said, okay, I'll come take them for you. What's cool is the venue coordinator for that place that I got introduced to because she didn't have a lot of photos, she actually runs 4 different Disney venues for weddings, and is putting me on their list just because I'm actively trying to partner with them, which is awesome. So there is a lot of things that you can do to get yourself moving forward, even if it is an established like venue like that. I can almost guarantee that while the Biltmore estate is established, it probably isn't nearly as established as like say the Walt Disney Company. And if I can get into there, you can definitely get into the Biltmore estate. Hopefully that thoroughly answers that question. Moving on. What should you include in the blog? Okay, so individual blogs are going to be slightly different from this, but you're going to need photos of each venue. If you have photos of couples that you photograph there, try and include those. Links to the venue's website, links to relevant internal pages. So if you're talking about being a wedding photographer in your city, highlight those words and link back to your main homepage from that. It's very important you do this. Also link back to any resources that would maybe come up. So if you have a guide on like a blog post that tells people how to pick your wedding venues, like that's something I would link back to. If you have an about page that somehow that would be relevant to link back to, you can link back to that. But typically, at least linking back to your homepage is going to signal that this is an important piece. By the way, if you take this blog and you put it onto your homepage, so like you link back to it from your homepage, Google is going to know that that piece of content that you've written is significantly more important than the rest of the website. Because you're linking back to it from your homepage. Your homepage has the most power to, like, the most ability to transfer power from its ranking to another page. So you might rank faster if you do that. You're kind of creating like a little web as it goes through. You're going to need the venue's phone number, multiple calls to action. So this is calls to action. This is reach out for a wedding consultation. This might be dropping in some sort of lead magnet for them, like 10 ways to, 10 things to ask your wedding venue. And it's a little downloadable PDF so you can get their email so you can start marketing to them that way. Some sort of contact form should also be on the bottom so you can get a full inquiry if that's the case. You can also just put buttons in that link down to that contact form on the blog itself. That's what we tend to do most often. And we've experimented with giving away engagement sessions here. We've experimented with a few different versions of these things. So you can kind of play around with it and just figure out what would be most relevant to the couple that's looking. Anything you want to add to that, Brett?
No, that's exactly how I do things. I love that. Like I said earlier, just if you don't have photos of the couples, just find photographs that you wouldn't know the difference if it was photographed there or somewhere else, and then use that instead.
Exactly.
So like if you're shooting at a venue that has lots of white walls, then get a great picture you took either at a wedding or styled session where it looks like a real wedding, and then use that instead. That way you have the white wall and they're like, oh yeah, they photographed that on a white wall inside the venue when you actually did.
Yeah. And you could even, like Brett said, he takes a tour with his phone. I would say that you could probably tour with your phone and maybe just create like a little 1-minute TikTok that explains the wedding venue, and then you can use it for reels. So you can just create multiple content while you're there. And maybe that reel took you like, I don't know, 10 minutes to create. Like, it's an easy win. Going from there, conditions of use of image use for venues, vendors, anyone else who's going to use these images. Okay. Images cannot be used without a link back to your website. All right. Try and make sure that this is very, very clear. Now, obviously, if someone does it, you don't need to be like vindictive about it. Like sometimes I just let it go. I will reach out to that venue and say like, hey, you're supposed to link back to this, and they'll usually fix it. If they don't, then I honestly like I'm just not the kind of person that's going to chase after them unless they're using it specifically for like massive sales. I'm still just pumped that they have an image of my work on their website in some cases. Again, it just depends on your personality and how offended you are that they took your image and then used it somewhere else. I choose in life generally to be happier about a situation than to be upset about the outcome. So if they decide to use the image, I'm stoked about that. Brad, do you got any thoughts that would like differ from that? I'm not sure if we differ in that area.
Oh, for me, it's always about what can I do for you? And I'm not going to worry about, what my compensation is for what I do for you, because, at the end of the day, I'm looking for the relationship. Like that's my big thing when it comes to when I'm giving them photos is I want that relationship, even though they're putting it online. If they don't link back to me, like they know who took it. And I would rather be in their good graces than say something about that and then for them to have any kind of negative thought about me in their head. And that way I can keep nurturing that relationship and working on it more and more and more.
Exactly. So the other thing I like to do in this scenario is I will allow them to buy prints from me. Now, I don't do this for profit making purposes. Okay. I actually do this conditionally as well. They can get discounted or at cost prints if they allow you to put your website under where it's displayed. Now, this has not happened in Orlando yet, but it did happen when I used to work in South Bend, Indiana a lot. And what we would do, what I did there was they printed a huge canvas. I think it's like 6 foot by 4 foot. So is it 5 foot? It's 5 foot by whatever the 3-2 would be of that. It's in their lobby. It's like the first thing you see when you walk in the building. And they just put a little placard underneath it that I paid for out of my own pocket. It's okay. It matched what they had. And it said photography by roythephotographer.com. Now, I never put my brand name directly underneath it because I don't really feel like that's a big win. If someone's looking at it and they want to know who the photographer was, I would link back to my website. Now, if for whatever reason I changed my website, that might be a problem. But I've been Roy the Photographer since like 2013. So I think it's probably going to stick around. Okay. Final spot. Now, this is where you guys can ask questions. I'm going to go ahead and take this as take a quick minute to kind of explain what we do for photographers and how we kind of help them. Now, Brett specifically has been kind of coaching with me on and off and has, I think, from what I understand, has been massively helped by that. You can maybe speak to that better than I can, Brett.
Oh man, Roy has completely, he's definitely taken a lot of what I've learned and just taken it to the next level. With me and my wife, Joanna, our dream is to photograph in Austin, Texas, because Austin is one of the most beautiful places with Texas Hill Country, and the people down there, the community that we can, kind of grow with. It's what we want. And with Roy, he made that possible, especially with this, what we're talking about right now. This venue strategy alone has helped me almost create my own just network and system of people that I can rely on and depend on, not on a business standpoint, but from like a personal standpoint, where we're actually getting to meet people that I want to do life with, that I want to be friends with. And he's just given me the confidence there, and just there's absolutely no fear when it comes to how am I going to build my business? How am I going to, get what I need for my family to survive and to thrive, especially in, an economy like Austin, which is absolutely growing at an exponential rate. I have all the confidence in the world. I'm meeting some of the most amazing people I've ever met, and my business is growing just because of the things that Roy has taught me. So anybody who is looking for somebody to kind of just help them take, a strategy to the next level, or even learn new things you didn't know were possible when it comes to marketing, Roy is definitely somebody you want to talk to, especially when it comes to the Vinny pages. When Roy is offering you the ability to take this off your plate to where his team will do this for you, it is a lot of time. It's worth it, but it's a lot of time. That is something that you definitely want to invest in. So you don't even have to worry about getting that information. I said it's very easy in Austin, Texas. Up here in Illinois, it is not. It is incredibly difficult, where some venues, they won't even let you contact them. Yeah, you don't really want to work with those venues. But for example, I have one up here. I get a ridiculous amount of hits off of a blog post I put up on just a wedding I did there, and I'm like, hey, I want information. I can't get a hold of them at all. Roy's team will get a hold of them. They will get that information for the venues that you want to work with. They'll just make your life a lot easier. So definitely take Roy up on this.
Yeah, well, thanks, man. I didn't think you're gonna go that far in depth in it, but that's awesome. I am looking into the comments to see if any questions have come up about the strategy. If not, we're going to start winding things up. I want to thank everybody who came in and joined. We are stoked to have you. I love hanging out with Brett. This is like a great way for me to just get to chill with my buddy and kind of build a community while I'm here. Again, if you really do want,
I want to say something.
Yeah, hit me. You want to say something? What?
Thaddeus, you said that you want to he said he wants to take off an entire year just to do the strategy. So let me tell you what I did. Like I said, I have over 80, right? So what I did was I took a week off, and all I did last May was for an entire week, I went and toured all these wedding venues. Almost every wedding venue I've done was in that week. I got my list of my top 23 within 5 days. Then I came back in December because I don't live in Austin, so I have to make time to go and do these things. I took another week in Austin where I just drove around and I figured out where are the venues that I want to go, which ones would fit. And then I made that list of my time of like those small ones. That's where I got my 80. I went to over 50 in that week. And then I've been out there doing other marketing things where I've been like, hey, I'll hit up a couple of venues when I have free time. And that's where I was able to build those things up. Creating the actual page for me, because I didn't do a blog post, I made an actual page. All I did was I created one canvas that I really, really liked. I had a formula. What do I want to put on it with my paragraph, my amenities, yada, yada, yada. Then I made a canvas similar to it, but the words flipped. And then all I did was just keep copying that until I got the amount I wanted. It doesn't take nearly as long as you think. All you have to do is create a framework for yourself. And this can get done very, very fast. Like even my individual venue pages, after I created that framework, I could have it done easily in under 2 hours if I don't have the information. All you have to do is have your framework, have a workflow, and it can be done very quickly.
Yeah. Okay. So Carmen said page versus blog. Now, in my experience, it doesn't really make a difference as far as ranking goes. But I will say that with things like Showit or even Cadence or like any other platform you're going to be on, you typically do get a little bit more like structural, like how I say this, like structural leeway with an actual page to where you can mess with the design a little bit more. Like a blog post typically has like a set way that they show up for every one of your blogs. And so you can do structure stuff inside of there, but it's not nearly as freeing as like a page is. That's the really only reason I would suggest doing the page. But it's kind of your choice, really. I think either one of those are totally fine. I don't know. Did you notice a difference? I don't know if you've even written a blog version of this.
No.
Yeah. So there is no difference between a blog and a page. The reason I went with a page is, again, like you said, I would just want a pretty aesthetic, where with a blog, it is very, very easy to create it. You can create it fast. Like go look at Roy's. Roy's just a blog, and his is absolutely gorgeous, enough to where I was getting frustrated with mine. I'm like, I can't create something like this. I suck at WordPress. I'm just going to go to Showit and create it that way. But if you want a really pretty aesthetic, it's going to take a lot more time. Do it in your web page. If you want to get it up there, you can still make it really, really pretty like Roy's, and you can do it on your blog post. And me and Roy talked about this a long time ago. I don't know what the problem will be with me if I do switch from Showit. I have no plans to, but if I switch from Showit, there may be some issues there where if it's a blog post, it will easily go with whatever platform or whatever theme or whatever you're doing, because it's on WordPress. It's not in that web design software.
Yeah, I mean, I think back in the day, back before like WordPress specifically, because I can't speak to Showit. I've never been a Showit fan specifically. Because for me, so to give you guys some background, I actually used to be a art director for advertising agencies, and I actually designed a lot of websites for big companies back in the day, like Fortune 500s, Fortune 100s. That was like my job. And so like when I got on a platform like Showit, and it was like kind of like a Photoshop kind of look feel to it, but wasn't nearly as powerful as Photoshop or even Illustrators, where we used to design a lot of these websites in. It was just really frustrating to me. And so WordPress kind of came easier. Cadence is like my go-to. And I found like, it really, they're the same thing. One of the benefits of doing a blog is that you can automatically upload it into something like Medium and get a no follow link back from Medium. So it basically just automatically takes your blog article and pulls it in there. And the benefit of that is that it'll actually read your article to you. And so like you'll press a button, you can listen to the article back and forth and then find out if there's any sort of like, oh, that doesn't sound right, or this doesn't make any sense. If you don't have a third party to kind of go and check your blogs for you, it can be really, really beneficial to use it for that purpose. But outside of that, for ranking purposes, whatever, it's like the same thing. But that's really my only difference.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, it's you do whatever you feel, whatever you're more comfortable with. All right. That said, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Thank you guys so much for joining the live. We are going to be posting this not just in the group, but it's also going to be posted over to YouTube. And then we're going to be taking the audio from this and uploading it into an upcoming podcast. If you haven't taken advantage of the freebie that comes from this, which is the guide that we kind of went through as we were going on it, I'm going to go ahead and link it again in the comments, just in case you haven't got it yet. Again, that's totally free. Plus, we're going to notify you the next time we go live and try and auto send you the PDF for downloads for that one as well. I'm super stoked you guys came. Thanks so much. And Brett, thank you, man. Like I really, again, every time I had to go to live, I appreciate you so much. And I'm stoked to have you. Thank you so much. Oh, Thaddeus says thanks too.
So
All right.
glad to be here, man. Love hanging out with you.
Perfect.
See you guys.
See you guys later.